The next topic that we have, beta, is business valuation. When you talk about business valuation as such, guys, the intent is what? To arrive at the value of the overall business undertaking. So that is why, guys, whenever we talk about valuation of business, we first normally talk in terms of valuation of the entire firm and not about valuation of equity shareholders. So before we started off with the concept of business valuation, I said there were a couple of terms that you were supposed to know. First one was terminal value, then there was return on investment, and that's it. So under terminal value का मतलब क्या बेटा? You cannot keep taking cash flows as such as for an indefinite period, because you cannot consider earnings or cash flows for an indefinite period as such, guys. What you do beta is you consider terminal value as at the end of a specified period. If you take cash flows for 10 years, guys, you will take terminal value as at the end of 10th year. If you take cash flows for 5 years, you will take terminal value as at the end of 5th year. This terminal value in turn will be computed using some valuation method. ROI is the return that you're generating on your investments. How will you compute ROI? EBIT divided by investment. Why are we taking EBIT in the numerator? Because you are taking all the providers of capital as such beta as the base. You should also take return that is available to all the providers of capital. That is why beta ROI is written as EBIT divided by the total amount of investment. Now starting with the valuation methods, guys, ये chapter में beta for solving practical questions we have limited valuation methods, but then there is a lot of theory content that is covered, which is also equally important for examination. Talking about the traditional methods of valuation as such, guys, we spoke about asset based valuation method, earnings based valuation method, cash flow based valuation method. How does this differ from the valuation methods given under valuation reports? Under valuation reports, three things. Cost is nothing but asset based. Next, income. Income covers both earnings as well as cash flows. Third one, market price. Apne traditional methods mein to value we do not have market price. We have earnings, we have cash flows, and then we have asset based valuation method. Under asset based valuation method, guys, the value of the firm will simply be equal to the total value of those assets that the firm owns. Isme beta we have net asset value, which is based on book value. We have realizable value as such, guys, which will be based on the value that you will generate by selling the assets today. And then we have replacement cost method. We generally use replacement cost method for a going concern organization. We use NRV, net realizable value as such beta, for a business that is to be liquidated. All right. Capital intensive businesses के लिए you can use asset based valuation method. उसमें भी replacement cost will be used if an entity is going concern as such, guys. And then NRV method, realizable value, will be used if a business is about to get liquidated. That is asset based valuation method, guys. After asset based valuation method, guys, we moved on to what, guys? यहाँ पे देखो बेटा, all book values and everything. We moved on to earnings based valuation method. Under earnings based valuation method also, guys, we have two models. One is PE multiple, the other one is earnings capitalization. Under PE multiple or earnings capitalization, the very first important thing as such beta is to consider adjusted earnings. When you say adjusted earnings as such, guys, not necessary. Whatever is the amount of earnings that you have reported in the past should continue to arise in the future as well. So your past earnings are adjusted for abnormal items, for extraordinary items, so that you arrive at the amount of profit that is maintainable in the future. What is this called as? FMP, future maintainable profit. Once you get your future maintainable profit, guys, if it is PE multiple, you multiply adjusted EPS with your PE ratio. And if it is capitalization method as such, guys, you will have to take future maintainable profit and divide it by capitalization rate. First wala was asset based valuation method. Second one is earnings based. Under earnings based, you have PE multiple, and then you have. Are we clear about this? Now, I'll talk about gearing and ungearing of beta that is required for unlisted entities, guys, in some time. Because even if you are using cost of equity as such beta for any of these valuation models, you might need beta of an unlisted entity. थोड़ी देर में बात करता हूँ. यहाँ तक clear है सबको? Under cash flow based model, it is exactly the same that we have revised just beta in equity valuation chapter. You can either arrive at value of the entire firm, or you can arrive at value of equity shareholders. Usually if they give us FCFF beta, it will all be value from the viewpoint of entire firm only. ये चैप्टर में बेटा सिर्फ ऐसे बोलने से कवर नहीं होगा, यू स्टिल हैव टू cover all of these points guys. मतलब only if you solve questions as such guys you will be able to get that confidence. All right, moving to the next concept as such guys, I did other methods of valuation first, but before that as such guys I'm going to talk about ungearing and regearing of beta, then we will come to other valuation methods. Ungearing and regearing of beta yaad hai guys? I'll move to that guys and then come back to the other valuation methods. So 3-4 page aage hai guys. So if at all you were to arrive at the value of an unlisted entity, or if you were to arrive at the value of a new business that you are entering into as such guys, then you may not have beta factor readily available guys. Beta factor can be easily arrived at as such guys for listed entities, but if it's an unlisted entity guys, you will not know beta factor. So the only way of arriving at beta of an unlisted entity as such guys is by picking up the beta of a comparable listed entity. But the problem with that beta is that the debt equity ratio, capital structures as such guys may not be same. Because the capital structures as such guys may not be the same as such beta, you will have to adjust the beta that you have picked up for a listed entity as such guys for that capital structure ratio. This is where we did the concept of ungearing of beta and regearing of beta. Ungearing of beta guys is computing beta asset using beta equity. This is this thing beta. Using beta equity at a debt equity ratio of 30:70, we are arriving at beta asset. Once we arrive at beta asset as such guys, we will use that beta asset to arrive at beta equity based on our capital structure ratio. If you have a debt equity ratio of 50-50, consider 50-50 debt equity ratio to compute your beta equity. That is called as regearing of beta. For this, the formula that I told you as such beta is that beta asset is equal to weight of equity into beta of equity plus weight of debt into beta of debt. Beta debt is generally 0. That is why we end up writing beta asset beta is equal to weight of equity into beta of equity. That weight of equity, weight of debt will be based on the proportion of equity and debt, but debt should be net of tax savings. That is why beta you write it as E divided by E plus D into 1 minus tax rate. As weight of equity, weight of debt beta will be D divided by E plus D into 1 minus tax rate. This is how you will be arriving at beta. Concept is very clear. I do not have my own beta. I still have to compute beta. That is why I'm picking up beta of some other firm. But our capital structures are not same. That is why we are ungearing the beta first and then again regearing the beta. This is where unlisted entities related. This is the point. There was also a concept under business valuation called as arbitrage pricing theory, which I did not cover. I will cover it directly as a part of portfolio management. There's a small theory given regarding that here, but detailed explanation anyways I'm going to undertake under portfolio management. That is why I did not cover the concept here guys. So after this beta we moved on to the concept of relative valuation. After gearing and ungearing as such beta, relative valuation guys is valuation by comparison, valuation by multiples. When you say valuation by comparison as such guys, you are arriving at the value of your entity as such guys based on the value of an other entity. Okay? So the most commonly used relative valuation multiples beta are enterprise value based multiple or equity multiples. Let us understand the meaning of enterprise value. Enterprise value as such guys is the value of all the providers of capital. So that is why to write enterprise value beta, we write value of equity plus value of debt plus minority interest minus cash and cash equivalents. Cash and cash equivalents can be used to reduce the amount of debt. That is why we deduct cash and cash equivalents. Alright. Why do we have to pick up enterprise value? I gave a simple example. Consider a cement company with a debt equity ratio of say beta 60-40. Consider another cement company with a debt equity ratio of let us say only 10-90. Both the firms will have different amount of equity. दोनों का overall equity market capitalization should undoubtedly be different because their equity capital invested is totally different. I cannot compare their equity values. That is why I will compare their enterprise value, which will include the amount of debt also, which will include the amount of minority interest as well. So total enterprise value guys is value of equity plus long-term debt plus the amount of minority interest minus cash and cash equivalents. From total enterprise value, if you deduct non-operating assets, you will arrive at the value of operating EV. Out of those operating assets also, if you remove non-core assets, you will arrive at core enterprise value. So under relative valuation, you will have EV multiples, and then beta you will have multiples based on your equity values. Under equity EV multiples, we had EV to EBITDA, EV to invested capital, EV to sales. EV to EBITDA and EV to invested capital is used by capital intensive industries which are generating sufficient amount of profits. Earnings are positive, they are good, they are stable. If an entity is burning cash or if an entity is incurring losses as such, guys, instead of going by EV to EBITDA, we go by EV to sales. This is also used for cyclical firms. Under equity based multiples, I said you can have either PE ratio or you can have PEG ratio. What is PEG ratio? For high growth companies, Sunrise Industries, instead of directly considering a higher PE ratio as such, beta, you will compare that high PE ratio with the growth potential of that industry. That is where beta under PEG ratio, you will divide PE ratio of a firm by the growth rate. This is all under relative valuation. After relative valuation as such, guys, we move to the concept of other valuation methods. ये पूरे examples है beta, ungearing and regearing. Under other valuation methods, guys, एक second, yeah. We had chop shop method, we had economic value added. Chop shop method कब use होता है बेटा? Just to get an overview, first traditional valuation methods. Under traditional valuation methods, we have asset based valuation method, we have earning based valuation method, we have cash flow based valuation method. After that, I spoke about the concept of enterprise value. I spoke about the concept of ungearing and regearing of beta. Then beta we spoke about relative valuation, that is valuation by multiples. Now we are talking about other valuation methods. Chop shop method, guys. Chop shop method is basically used when a company beta is into multiple product lines. You will not be able to arrive at the valuation of the entire company directly. This is where you will start placing values on each component, each division separately. How are you arriving at the value of each division is not given under chop shop method. It only says consider the value of each division separately. This method is also known as breakup value approach. After chop shop method, we did economic value added. I said EVA is exactly the same as your economic profit. This is the surplus return that you are generating from the viewpoint of all the providers of capital. To compute EVA, guys, you will have to take whatever is your net operating profit after taxes, from that deduct the amount of capital charge. This capital charge is nothing but minimum required rate of return, KO multiplied by capital invested. I repeat, you're supposed to take NOPAT minus KO into capital invested. If there are no adjustments, see, we do not take capital structure into consideration, guys. That is why you're not even supposed to consider tax savings on interest. You're directly supposed to take net operating profit after taxes. If there are no adjustments, NOPAT can be written in three ways, guys. One second. If there are no adjustments, you will be able to write NOPAT as such beta in three ways, and those three ways of NOPAT as such, guys, will be you can directly write EBIT into 1 minus tax rate, or you write EAT, add back interest, but interest net of taxes, or you write EBIT minus actual tax payment as well as tax savings on interest. Why are we also taking tax savings on interest? Because that actual tax payment will be net of tax savings, and we are not supposed to take tax savings on interest. I gave a detailed example beta in your notes to see how the answers are same. So you either write EBIT into 1 minus tax rate, or you write EAT, add back interest net of taxes, or you write EBIT minus actual tax payment minus tax savings on interest. That is how you will arrive at NOPAT. Now, when computing your operating profit and the amount of capital invested, guys, I told you, if at all there is economic depreciation and book depreciation, you are supposed to consider economic depreciation. Depreciation as per books of accounts is a mere estimate, guys. Economic depreciation will tell us what is the true decline in the value of an asset. Plus, if there's any expenditure beta that results in future economic benefits but does not result in creation of an asset, you must be writing it off as per your accounting policies. But for EVA computation, what should I do? Consider that as a part of capital invested, guys. So how will you do that? By adding it back to your operating profit and by also increasing your capital invested. Also, we do not consider any provisions for expenses for EVA computation. We only take expenses as and when they are incurred. So if at all they give provision for warranties, provision for doubtful debts, you're supposed to add it back to your capital invested. You're also supposed to add it back to your operating profit. You do not have to worry about the tax implications of these adjustments. समझ में आ रहा है? 3 points बेटा. It can be provisions, it can be economic depreciation, and then it can be expenditure like advertisement or better R&D expenditure, employee training that result in future economic benefit. What am I supposed to do with all of that? Add it back to your operating profit, add it back to the amount of your capital invested. That is how you're supposed to arrive at the answer. Any doubt in this? Yes or no? Capital invested क्या बोला बेटा मैं? If they give us the amount of opening capital invested, please consider that. Otherwise, if they give us only closing balance sheet, directly go by the amount of closing capital employed. If they give us beta for multiple years as such, guys, what should I do? Consider the highest beta as such beta for computation of cost of equity. Unlevered beta जब compute कर रहे हो ना बेटा, and if you have multiple comparables, then you take average. But if for the same company, if they give us beta for multiple years, you will take the highest beta. I also told you beta that all of these concepts have never been tested under AFM. They've been tested under strategic cost management. Under AFM, the only important adjustment is provision for doubtful debts. Provision for doubtful debts, when you add it back to your capital invested, for computation of KO, still take the old amount of capital only. There was one question in which equity was 800, debt was 100. Provision for doubtful debt was 20. I said for computation of KO, take 800 and 100 only. Please do not consider this 20. That is only for computation of KO. After KO is computed, you will take capital invested beta as 920. Gir ke, khade hoke, jaise bhi beta. Are we clear about this? That was about computation of what, guys? EVA. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Simple concept beta, but pretty important. After that beta, there was contemporary approaches. मैं बोला contemporary approaches. These are all under other valuation methods only. I spoke about what? Chop shop method. I spoke about economic value added. After this beta, we had contemporary approaches and shareholders value added. तुम लोग बहुत आगे चले गए एक सेकेंड, या फिर मैं थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे कर रहा हूँ. हाँ, shareholders value analysis beta, correct. So under shareholders value analysis, it is exactly the same as valuing the amount of equity as such, guys, based on the cash flows that are being generated. But first beta, we will arrive at value of the entire firm. To value of that entire firm as such beta, we are going to adjust the amount of debt and cash equivalents to arrive at the value of equity. Is that clear, guys? एक examination question था बेटा that I gave as homework. They gave cash and cash equivalents, they gave debt as such बेटा. We first arrived at value of the entire firm and used that as a basis to arrive at value of equity. Contemporary approaches, guys, I said कुछ नया नहीं है. Contemporary approaches are nothing but that you use in addition to your traditional methods of valuation. यहाँ पे the wordings that you should remember beta is exit multiple and leveraged buyout. Exit multiple as such beta is a wording that is used by venture capital firms. Whenever they make any investment as such beta, they have a targeted amount that they would want to generate by selling that investment. So if your exit multiple beta is 5x, that means value of the firm as such beta should be 5 times the amount of the investment that you've made today. Leverage buyout matlab kya, guys? You are buying another firm as such, guys, but taking a substantial amount of debt as such beta to buy the other firm. Fair value, guys, there was another theory concept, guys, in your materials, and that is fair value. As far as fair value is concerned, guys, as I said, there are multiple methods for valuation of fair value, guys. You will have to use as many methods as possible and give reasoning as to why are we using or why are we not using a specific method. This is where I showed you those valuation reports also. Do you remember? Now, in case they give us earnings capitalization method, guys, and they give us net asset value, after that they ask us to compute fair value. What will be fair value? Average of earnings capitalization method and net asset value. I said this is a concept of FR, not a concept of AFM. AFM, even if they're asking us to compute fair value, they will only tell us what are the weights to be used. A question I said consider a weight of 1 and 3. For cash flow based it was 3, or earnings weight it was 3, and this. If they give us net asset value, if they give us earnings capitalization value, after that if they ask us to compute fair value, how will you do it? Consider an average of these two. Now, fair value भी बोल दिया बेटा. As far as going concern and non-going concern valuation is concerned, it is very important that whenever you're arriving at the value of any firm, you give as to what is the premise of this valuation. Are you valuing the firm assuming that it is going to be a going concern, or are you valuing the firm better assuming that it is going to be liquidated? Because that will change the methodology of valuation altogether. Again, in a valuation report I showed you better, beginning mein they will write as to what is the objective of this valuation bolke. All right. After this better, whatever content that we have is majorly theory as such, guys. The first thing that we have here is valuation of distressed companies. Distressed companies are those as such, guys, that have already defaulted as such, guys, or on the verge of defaulting payments. If there is a distressed company as such, there's a very high chance that the company might get liquidated. That is why, guys, we cannot use the traditional methods as such, guys, for valuation of a distressed company. There were 4 valuation methods, guys, that were given for valuation of distressed company. First one beta is modified cash flow. Modified cash flow beta is exactly like the old method. You normally arrive at your cash flows, but then you will multiply that with 1 minus probability of your distress. Basically, you're only taking that probability beta that the firm is going to continue. You take normal cash flow, multiply by probability that the firm is going to continue. That will become beta your modified cash flow method. The next one beta is adjusted. ये जो भी अपना DCF valuation है plus distress value. You take valuation as per cash flow method, you take valuation as per liquidation value also, distress value also. Multiply each of them with their corresponding probabilities. Value as per cash flow will be multiplied with 1 minus probability of distress. Distress value will be multiplied by probability of distress. And then beta the next method here beta was adjusted present value. Adjusted present value is again based on MM approach. Value of a levered firm is equal to value of unlevered firm plus tax savings on account of debt. This is where you will write value of a firm beta should be equal to value of an unlevered firm plus tax advantage on account of debt minus expected bankruptcy cost. Why are we talking about expected bankruptcy cost? Because it's a distressed company. How will you compute that expected bankruptcy cost as such beta? You should take the value of an unlevered firm. From that I will deduct distress value, multiply that by the probability of distress. Last one beta was relative valuation. Relative valuation is valuation by comparison. However, do not forget, because you are valuing a distressed entity as such beta, you should take a lower multiple. You cannot directly take the multiple that is applicable beta for a proper good company. Then we did valuation of startups as such, guys. Under valuation of startups, the first thing that we discussed is why traditional methods cannot be used. You cannot use income approach, you cannot use asset approach, you cannot use market approach. Income approach cannot be used because majorly most of the startups as such beta will be burning cash or will have negative profits as such, guys. Asset approach cannot be used because most of the startups are technology driven. They are very asset light companies. They may not have huge amount of investments as such, guys, made in the form of assets. You cannot use market approach because you may not have comparables only. It is very difficult to find a proper comparable as such, guys, for the purpose of valuing a startup. The value drivers as such, guys, for startup is the product, uniqueness of the product. If the product is going to be disruptive, obviously better the startup is going to have a higher value. It will depend upon the team of that organization. Better the team as such better will be the execution, higher will be the value of the startup. इसके अलावा बेटा asset traction, whether people are liking the product or not, what is the overall industry attractiveness. If the industry is attractive, then there will be more number of people who are willing to invest as such, guys. And what is the amount of revenue that you have generated so far? What is the amount of competition out there in the market? All of these factors will determine as to how much is the value beta that can be placed on the startup. Under different valuation methods, I said from a theory perspective, most important is Berkus approach and scorecard valuation method. Under Berkus approach as such, guys, the value of a startup, under Berkus approach, as far as the value of a startup is concerned, guys, I said there are 5 factors that they consider. The first factor as such, guys, is the business idea that will determine the basic value of the firm. The next factor is the technology behind the business. The next is execution, that is the strength of the team as such, guys. The next is core strategic relationships as such beta in your core market. And the last one beta is your existing production and sales that you have achieved. These 5 factors collectively should determine what is the value that you are placing on a startup. Are we clear beta? Isko 5 drivers bolte. All of these are 5 critical factors. All of these factors will determine the value. After that beta, we did cost to duplicate approach. Cost to duplicate approach as such beta is basically the amount of money that you're going to spend as such, guys, in creating a similar startup. That will determine as to what is the value that you're going to place on that startup. Comparable transactions method is possible only if there is a similar startup that has already been valued. Based on the value of a similar company as such, beta, you're going to place value on your company. Scorecard valuation method, beta, is similar to Berkus approach, but then you're not placing an absolute amount on these factors. You're scoring an organization based on these factors. The most important being strength of the team, then overall industry attractiveness measured by size of opportunity, then the product that you are into, guys. Then, beta, the competitive environment. What is your marketing and sales channel? Will you be needing additional investment on a later date? You add all the points that have been given to the organization. If the ranking is more than 100, then the value of the entity, beta, should be more than the competitors. If the overall score is less than 100 as such, beta, then the valuation should be less than that of their competitors, other startups. First Chicago method, guys, इस पे ऊपर practical question भी था. As per first Chicago method, there should be 3 scenarios that you should consider: best case scenario, worst case scenario, and normal scenario. Arrive at the probabilities of each of these scenarios, guys, and then multiply the values under each of these scenarios with the corresponding probabilities. Last one is venture capital method. Under venture capital method, beta, it is exactly same P multiple के basis पे. अभी clear, guys? Now, valuation of digital platforms, beta. First, we did different types of digital platforms that are possible. The first one is marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart. The next one is search engine like Google. Then is repository, beta, like YouTube or Spotify, wherein information is stored and users extracted later. Digital communication platforms like your WhatsApp, Telegram. Digital communities like Instagram, guys, Facebook or LinkedIn. Payments platform. यहाँ पे बेटा under this we are making references to all the 3 approaches: income approach, market approach, cost approach. ठीक है. First income approach में बेटा I said the point to be remembered is total addressable market, top down approach and bottom up approach. I'll repeat again, guys. For valuation of digital platforms, we have 3 approaches. We have income approach, we have market approach, and then we have cost approach. Under income approach, there are again 2 methods that can be followed. One is top down method, the other one is bottom up method. Under top down method, we first arrive at the total market size. For that, the keyword, technical word is total addressable market. Under that total addressable market, you will see what is the targeted share that you have. What is the target beta that you are placing? So that will determine what is your serviceable addressable market or what is your serviceable obtainable market, SAM or SOM. Once you determine what is your serviceable addressable market, depending on your business strategy, guys, we will know what is the amount of revenue that you're going to generate, what are the amount of expenses that you're going to incur. Okay? That will determine the amount of cash flows. Bottom up approach ulta hai. Using the existing amount of resources, you are determining what is the amount of revenue, what is the amount of expenditure that you're going to incur. That will be used to determine cash flows. Irrespective of whether you use top down approach or bottom up approach, guys, you will have to still consider a higher beta factor as such, guys, higher cost of equity, considering the risk that is involved in valuing a startup. Is that clear? The next one that we did beta was market approach. Market approach is nothing but comparable transaction method. You will not have market price. These are not listed entities. These are all unlisted entities. So that is why under market approach, we have comparable transactions. Only thing that you should know beta is that we do not use multiples like EV to EBITDA, EV to sales. Instead, beta, you will use drivers like number of users, number of active users, number of subscribed paid users. All of that will determine what is the value that should be placed on the firm. Is that clear, guys? Last wala beta, cost approach. Cost approach is nothing but valuing beta on the basis of total expenditure that you are incurring as such beta to build the total asset. Agar abhi wo total create karna hai, what is the amount of expenditure that you're going to incur on that? After that beta, we did the concept of valuation of professional or consultancy firms. I said again, very normal. Only important point to be kept in mind beta is that majorly the valuation will depend on the performance of the professional firm, that in turn is measured by key performance indicators. You will always have to compare KPI of a firm with the other firms. That will determine what is the value that should be placed. And the last part beta was impact of ESG on valuation. E standing for environmental measures, S standing for social measures, G standing for governance. If a firm were to implement environmental measures, what will be the impact on their bottom line? How will their profits increase or decrease? If a firm were to implement better social measures as such, guys, again, how is that going to cost the organization? what will be the impact of that on profitability? Governance ka beta, because of bad governance, how can your profit get affected? In the form of penalties, in the form of fines. This is what is covered beta in the chapter of business valuation. Are we clear? It is best that we go through the concept notes along with this beta whenever you're going to listen to this video. Alright kids, chalo beta, ending the revision video guys. We'll revise some other topic next week. Bye bye guys, online students, bye bye.